Hiya! Are you ready to go to Indonesia? Are you ready to check out some stuff in Southeast Asia? Because that's where we're going with this latest review. Thank you for coming on by. My name is Matt Diazable. I talk music, especially in the alternative, hardcore metal world and all other music because it's really fun and I'm having a great time doing it. So if you like what you're seeing, like, subscribe, comment. You're the best. And today I am checking out a band called Pleasure and Pain with their latest album called Nightmare Streaming Station. For those who are unfamiliar with this band, Pleasure and Pain is a hardcore band based out of Medan, Indonesia. I hope I'm saying that right. And before they were Pleasure and Pain, they were a band called Lowlife, and they've been, steadily making a small name for themselves in the Southeast Asia hardcore scene. I discovered these guys because I would say recently, back in 2025, in January, I went into, well, not went into, but I saw the Whispers release show for their latest record, and I met a lot of people from Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, just all around Southeast Asia who are into hardcore, and they came to that show. And I think I met a few members of the band, and they asked me to check out this album. And I'm always happy to help bands with their music by reviewing, reacting to them, and just, doing my part for the scene as best as I can, because it's what I love. I just like being here, and it's really fun. So let's talk about this album. And so with this latest album from Pleasure and Pain, they've been able to capture the raw, aggressive energy of hardcore music, and they have a very clear desire to push it into heavier and harder territories in the hardcore and punk community. And across these 10 tracks, the band is able to show very tight and very effective musicianship, whether it be, the drumming, the bass work, or, occasionally the hard-hitting riffs. But the album is weighed down by one glaring issue, and that is the vocals. Instrumentally, the band definitely delivers some really good stuff here. Like on the tracks Test and, sorry if I'm mispronouncing this, Arus Bindek. I think I got that right. These songs showcase some really smooth riffage that have a very deep and groovy bass tone as well, while also having some tightly recorded drums that just sound really, really good. So I want to play a clip of Test for you so you get a sense of just, the clarity and the overall tight musicianship they have as a band. Simple and effective. The rhythmic sections on this record are consistently solid, particularly on the tracks Envision and Buried Alive, demonstrating some very good abilities from the band to, build intensity through very simple tempo changes and breakdowns. So I'm gonna play a clip of Buried Alive so you get a sense of just that, build up they have here that's really good. Good stuff. And they're really good at transitioning into faster, more punk-influenced territory, like on the song called Gihard. I hope I'm not butchering these Indonesian words, but it just feels really natural here, and it just really helps that the delivery is being paced out nicely. The bass work deserves a lot of praise with this band because it is like the overall glue and foundation that's keeping this band together, adding a lot of depth and groove to the riffs that otherwise can feel a little bit repetitive and simple at times, but that bass comes in to just give that extra oomphness and makes things more interesting and more dynamic to listen to. The breakdowns scattered throughout this whole album, especially on Envision and Dead Words, they feel very weighty and very effective, and the band does a really good job of understanding that sometimes you got to pull back and let the impact really come in, and it can help drive the song nicely. However, the vocals are consistent and kind of disruptive to the overall flow of the songs. They feel very nasally, underpowered, and just awkwardly mixed on most of these tracks. And sometimes they just feel completely detached from the overall sound of the other band members. They just feel completely separate. And I think a good example of that is on the songs Buried Alive and Life Sentence. Like when you hear the vocals come in, it's just so jarring that you lose focus listening to the band because the vocals are just so like, whoa, and not in the best ways, I think. So here's a clip of Life Sentence so you get a sense of just the vocals that are being presented here. Quite jarring. It feels like the vocals have a lot of heavy reverb and just some strange placements to them where it feels like, you know, they were never really recorded at the same time as the band. If anything, they were added in post-production without much integration, it feels like. And I want to say at times they kind of overshadow or just outright muddy and otherwise solid instrumentation from the rest of the band, turning some very good musical moments into some noisy, less focused messes. Like a good prime example is on the song Tagnesia Breakdown. Again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing. There's a clear contrast here because when the vocals kind of, you know, drop out a bit and the music comes in and it grooves and it gets time to breathe, it sounds really good. But then the vocals return and it's just really hard to follow when the vocals come back. The guest features on this record are a nice breath of fresh air, like on the songs Off to You, where they're featuring Martyr, or Dead Words that features No Excuse and Suspect. They really help make these collaborative moments stand out because they are very, they have a lot of variation to them, but because they show just how much stronger this band could be if they had a more, I guess, a vocalist that suits their sonic intensity more. The guest vocalists really bring, you know, a presence, some grittiness, and some confidence that, you know, the main vocalist just doesn't really seem to be able to claim or have that much of. And I feel like their inclusion into this album kind of underlines how much Pleasure and Pain could benefit from having a vocalist who can really improve his sound. Like the main vocalist needs to work on his vocals a lot more, or, you know, the produce. I don't think it's the producing. I think it's mainly the vocalist needs to work on his style of vocals, or altogether possibly have a different frontman. Lyrically, the record seems to lean into very familiar hardcore themes: struggle, hardship, and just overcoming adversity in many ways. So it's not too hard to decipher what this band is trying to be all about, even with the vocal issue. Production wise, it feels like a little bit, I guess, uneven at times because you get some really sharp and punchy drums and bass, but then you got a very glaring gap when it comes to the vocals just sounding not as best as they could. And sometimes the guitars feel a little flat in terms of toning in a few places on this record. Overall, what I would think this band is trying to do here, or what you're, you know, kind of understanding after you listen to this album is, you know, it feels like it's a band that is trying to still figure out who they are. There are enough strong instrumental moments, and, you know, in terms of composition and, you know, structure, there's a lot of good stuff here, but it also suggests that there's potential that they could do a lot better in terms of song structure and style. They've got a lot of stuff, I guess, cooking in the oven here, I would say. But, you know, vocally and production wise, this is where, you know, the band is being held back a bit. And so I would say if Pleasure and Pain can, you know, take care of one of their major issues, I think, with the band is, and that is the vocalist, either, you know, train him, get him more practice, get him a bit more of a grittier, solid vocal performance, or possibly get a new frontman. I hate to say that, but that's a possibility. But if they did something like this, I think this band could really have something powerful in their hands. It's tight musicianship, you know, solid riffs, and moments of real groove that just feel really hampered by weak vocals and a lack of cohesion. To put it very simple, Pleasure and Pain, there's definitely potential here if they can refine their identity. And until then, I would say this latest album from Pleasure and Pain, Nightmare Streaming Station, I would have to give it an okay to decent 6 out of 10. Links down below. Tell me what you think about this band, and like always, thank you for coming on by. If I'm saying this correctly in Indonesian, salamat. Yeah, I think that's thank you. So see you in the pit. Good things about you.